Okay, so you want to use replay on. I'm just going to open up one of them. Now, what you'll notice here is they've got this little indicator on this. This is not normal for these. Normally, it wouldn't have it like this, but if it had something like this, that's because in this case, so I click on it, I load it, so loaded into replay mod. Now, at first, when you first load it, it might lag a little bit, might glitch out. This will change if you go to an area with a player. Now, here is some key points. Remember, right now, there is this on there. That's a good marker. Put that down when you're recording. I wouldn't worry about it. It's not an important thing. But what we're going to go over are the timeline bars. You've got two separate timeline bars here and two separate play buttons. It's important to consider that these are two separate like timelines. So this one, this top one, is what happens physically in the world. So as you can see, right now it's frozen. But if I were to hit play, the world starts moving again forward. And you can increase the speed at which this happens. I have, and it does say in the little bracket there, unpause replay P. That's just the default, I'm pretty sure. That's what mine is as well. But over here, this is your replay mod timeline. And this always starts at 0, 0, because this is the actual replay file. So there's two main things here, time keyframe and position keyframe. So the time keyframe links this like cursor indicator with the location on this timeline. So it says this spot in time right now is at this on the actual replay bar. And this position keyframe marks where you're currently facing. So if I were over here and I marked a position keyframe, it would be at that position. So like, let's say, here's a fun little trick. You right click on the position keyframe, it goes right there. If I go back here, I add a time keyframe. Now this part of the video is lined up with here. So if I were to hit play at 1 time speed, this goes forward. And then let's say I were to move over here. And when I'm getting my mouse back, I'm just hitting T, the T button that's used to like open the chat. And that gets it out of the, and then I use escape to go back into controlling the character. I use T. And if I were to pause it, normally I use the shortcut for this, but I'll use the button for now. And then it does this. So it adds another time. The thing is, you can see that I can move this around. This can be adjusted. If it's 1 to 1, and I hit play from here, it will re-render. It does take a while, but it will re-render along that path from that time keyframe to the next time keyframe, and it will go through the position keyframes as a sort of like Bezier curve. So as you can see, this is slowly moving along. It's at 1 to 1 speed right now, and is slowly moving from the first keyframe, position, and time to the second position and time. I always like to keep position and time keyframes together. You can have them like this, and then that will change how it loads and how it moves. So it'll change the sort of speed of how it gets and moves to things. So it's like shifting around how fast it accelerates or decelerates. But mostly, because as you can see, it moves a little bit quicker to try and get to that position. Because otherwise it would have taken the full time here. And as you can see, I got to that position. Time's still going. But what we're going to do here, I'm going to show an example of a time lapse. I just removed that with the shortcuts there. But let's say I want to go 8 times speed. And what I can do is I can add those keyframes. I'm just using the shortcuts, I and O. And I hit P to play. It plays. And I could pause it, some more keyframes. And if I wanted it to go even faster, I could move these closer together so that it would be even faster than the 8 times speed. See, it looks very quick. It's a little bit jittery. Now, let's say, okay, I want to export this replay, like this replay, it's a good time lapse. Then you would hit this button, render camera. But before we do that, this is all the settings. I don't think I've changed mine, but most of these you don't need to know. I just use I and I can't read that because I got the bar there. Anyway, I use basically you can use things like maybe J, K, or L to do the like. Let's say if I were to close this, and you can have it so it's got Fulbright on, just Z, toggle that. I don't use that one. I like it to just be in just like the game. And you can use L, K to reset it, J, tilt, K to reset it. And then other than that, main controls is WASD to move forward and straight. You can open the inventory, it doesn't do anything. Then T to bring your mouse back. You can manually hit these buttons. And then escape to control the character again. Now, once we have this render that we want, we go to render camera. Now, one thing you'll notice is that right now I've got render queue. You will not normally have a queue because I already did all these. I'm going to remove them. So we'll try again. And this is what will normally pop up. Now, you can normally just keep this exactly the same as its default. This is literally the default settings for me. I use just the MP4 custom bitrate, and that's because I want it to be 20, like you use this text stuff. Just kidding. The video frame rate, I keep it at 60 because I record in 60. And default rendering, I would normally just keep it at this. This is some pretty complicated stuff, but it does give a little explanation on it. The default's normally really good. And then output file. So it's got the name of that the file will be outputted. You can click on it, and it is a little confusing because I've got quite a few here. You can ignore all these. It's normally empty. But this up here shows where it is. So it's in your user, app data, roaming, Minecraft, replay videos. And you can click on the black box to rename it. So let's say I were to rename it to test. I'd save that name, and then you could either add to queue, render it as is. I'm going to show add to queue, and then now it's added to the queue, and then I can click render all. And it'll slowly load as it renders. Alright, once it is rendered, this little folder will pop up. I would not recommend uploading directly to YouTube. I would just open video folder so you can review the video and then edit it. So open video folder, and it will open to where it is stored. So this is that video we just took. As you can see, it's the exact same as that replay file. I personally don't want to keep it, so I'm going to delete it. Actually, is that even showing up on here? Oh, it isn't. My bad, my bad. Anyway, what this does, click open video folder, it will just open you into that folder. Now, one thing to note is that you do need FFmpeg installed, but it should prompt you that when you try to install Replay Mod. Now, one thing also to note, as you have Replay Mod, if you have too many or you have too long of a recording, it is a little intensive and it might not work. So, for example, all of mine are fairly short in their duration. I try to keep it under 20 minutes. And for example, these ones that are like 27, 30, 54, I cannot load them right now. That's just a me thing. But I used to be able to load the long ones. But I guess I'm just using up too much memory in my replay folders. Alright, it's a quick little, oh, I almost forgot. Settings. So first off, I've got record single player on. This just means that I can record single player. I've got record server on as well. So I can record on a server. Automatic recording, what this one does is it just, when the moment you log into a world, it starts recording. Show chat, this shows the chat as you're recording. I turn this off because if I'm time lapsing, it can be a little like flashy. Like it'll go on and then it'll go off. Show path preview, this just shows the preview that the replay mod path is going to take. And most of it, you can just sort of leave these as is. Just depends if you want to record single player, server, and you could have the recording indicator. So what this will do is it'll show a red dot in your Minecraft world as you're recording. I like to leave it off just in case. I don't know, personal preference. Anyway, that was a quick intro to Replay Mod in 2024. If you have any comments, leave down below. And if you want an advanced tutorial, maybe I'll do that. We'll see. We'll see how everyone wants it. Anyways, be sure to like and subscribe.